I'm Kevin. I've been an Android developer since Honeycomb, and today I work at Purchasely. We are a B2B company. We provide services to implement in-app purchases in your application. And for the past 2 years, this is what I've been doing. So today I'm going to talk about in-app subscriptions, how to implement it in your application, what is it exactly, do you have to use it, and do you only use the one provided by Google? So what are in-app purchases, and should you use it? Well, it depends on 2 scenarios. Are you selling digital services? If so, then yes, it is mandatory. Google wants you to use their service with Play Store, and you have to, it's a requirement. But if you sell physical goods, you don't have to, and you must not to. In those cases, you need to use Google Pay, which is a completely different system. So if you are selling digital items, which can be like a virtual currency, add-on to your game, or other stuff like this, if you are providing subscription in your application, if you provide premium content, for example, if you're a newspaper and you have premium articles, or if you are having some kind of services in the cloud, everything that is digital, you need to use something provided by Google if you're using the Google Play Store. And for example, you can sell 4 different types of products. A consumable, which is a product that you can sell an unlimited number of times. Non-consumable, which is a lifetime product. So for example, a year life subscription. You can sell renewing subscriptions, so something that will renew every month or every year or every week. And a non-renewing subscription, which is a prepaid subscription, something for like 6 months that won't be renewed automatically. And for that, you have multiple providers on Android. Of course, there is also one in a very well-known competitors. But on Android, you have basically 3 choices: Google, Amazon, and Huawei. And this is what I'm talking about with in-app subscriptions. Let's say you're providing Purchasely Eats, which is a very well-known company to deliver food, and you have a subscription system to have this unlimited food delivery for free at each delivery, but for that you need a subscription. For that you need to use one of those providers. So for example, if you are providing your application through Google Play, you need to use Google Play Billing, and this will open the Google Play subscription page and handle everything directly with the user. And what are the features provided by those services? First, there is the financial features, a very important one. They handle all the payment for you. You don't have to do anything. They do everything. They are directly linked to your customer. They handle taxes in every country or every state. And of course, they provide you with your fiscal revenues due to those products. For the customer, they have their own wallet with those services. So you have, for example, your Google Wallet, where you have put all your credit cards. You can manage your subscriptions. So, for example, with Google, on the Play Store, you have a specific page where you can see every subscription you have, and you can cancel at any time from this page, or you can even pause it. For example, this summer you're going on holidays, you can say, I want to pause my subscription for the next 2 months. You can do that directly from Google. And they also provide support, so that if you need a refund, Google is going to manage it entirely, the whole chain, for you. Technically, they provide an SDK, so on Google side it's Google Play Billing and an API, and some analytics also, like how many purchases you had, if there was any cancellations, trials, retention, some basic stuff like this. And the important thing about Android is that it's open and free, meaning that the Android open source project started in 2007, and at that time you only had the Android market, which later became the Google Play Store. But in 2009, you had the Samsung Galaxy Store on Samsung devices, which still exist, and Samsung provides its own billing system. In 2011, you had Aptoid, F-Droid, Amazon App Store, and Huawei, only in China, coming in the market. And in 2018, Huawei became a global brand and started selling phones everywhere in the world. And so their Huawei App Gallery has been available for everyone. And why is it important? It's because the Android market share is very diverse. The main player is Samsung, with almost 35% of market share in the world. But you also have Xiaomi, Oppo, Huawei, Nokia still exists, Motorola still exists, and all other companies and very, very various ones. But you also have Amazon, and I'm going to talk about what is very specific about Amazon a little bit after. So, just some statistics. First, you have Google, the one you have to implement, the one you have to use. It's everywhere and in everyone's phone on Android, basically. The numbers speak for themselves. But you also have Amazon, and Amazon is very important in the TV world. If you are building a VOD application, or SVOD, you need to be on Amazon because they are selling more devices than the Chromecast. They have a very, very big, important market share, and every major players like Netflix, Hulu, Disney, they are all on Amazon Fire TV sticks and other TV devices. And the last major player that took a hit a few years ago, but is still going, is Huawei. And most importantly, that if you want to provide your subscription or your paid content in China, you must implement Huawei also, because Huawei is very strong in China. What are the main differences between those three stores? Well, there is a difference in terms of commission and in terms of features. As you can see, the commission is simple with Google. Your first million of revenue is 15%, then it's 30% for all your applications. And Huawei is a bit more complicated, but it's like 0% the first year. They want you to come to the store, then 15, then 30. And Amazon is 20% the first million and 30 after. There is also a very important system to acknowledge is that when a user has a subscription, he can upgrade or downgrade. For example, you have a basic paid content and a premium content. And for that case, you need to handle an upgrade or a downgrade. A user goes from a basic subscription to a premium subscription. This is an upgrade. Or the opposite, premium to basic, this is a downgrade. With Google, you have to manage it manually. You have to tell to Google, this is a upgrade, this is a downgrade. With Huawei, they have a subscription group, so you can set a level, saying that this one is level 1, this one is level 2. So they're going to manage it automatically. And for Amazon, it's simpler. They don't have this system. So if the user is going to buy a premium content, whereas he already had a basic content, he's going to have 2 subscriptions. So he needs to cancel it himself. Also, there is something very big happening regarding regulation. Today, in South Korea, you don't have to use Google Play billing if you are providing your app through Google Play Store, because there is a new legislation saying that it is not allowed. So Google and Apple must provide alternative payment method, allows alternative payment methods. In the Netherlands, it is not allowed for dating apps, and probably is going to expand to other apps at some point. And even in the US, there is still a regulation bill. It's still being talked. It's going to take a few years, I think, but they are talking about it. And Google started to acknowledge that, and so they made a beta test with Spotify 2 months ago, when they said to Spotify, and announced it publicly on their blog, that now on Spotify, you are not mandatory to use Google Play billing. You can use another payment system. This is what Spotify is doing in their application. So this is the Android application that I have downloaded from the Play Store. I'm sorry, it's in French, because I've put the Spotify application in English, but for some reason, they detected that I'm French. I don't know where, and they decided to put it in French. But on Spotify, I can pay with my credit card, so I have to enter this information, because they don't have it, of course, or my PayPal account. So what is the setup you need to do to handle purchases? First, on the back-end side, it is very important to have one. It is not mandatory. It will work without a back-end, but if you don't have a back-end, you won't be able to detect fraud. On Android, you have a hacking system. You can be root by exploiting something. There are even applications helping you disturb the Google Play billing system to not pay the price asked for. And without a backend, you cannot really detect it. So you really need a backend to make sure that the purchase the user made was correct. Also, on the backend side, I would suggest to acknowledge the purchase. Acknowledging is saying to Google or Huawei or Amazon that you have received the purchase, that everything is fine, and that you have provided it to your consumer. You can do that on your SDK also with your application, and you can do it, it's possible, but the thing is, if there is any network issue, you may have some problem where a user does not have his purchase made with Google validated, but on the backend side, you won't have any of those issues. And also, so with the API, this is the only way to know what price and what offer and what country the user was in. Because with their Google Play billing SDK, you don't know the actual price the user will pay. You don't even know the country of the user, and you don't know which offer he is allowed to. If there is a free trial, if he's using a promo code, if he has an enterprise, any of that you don't know with their SDK. You need to use their API. The second thing you can implement is real-time notifications, also called server-to-server notifications. And this is very interesting to know about the subscription flow. For example, if it was renewed, if it was disabled, if it was paused, if it was canceled, refund, a lot of the other stuff. And for example, on this screen here, you can see a user journey with this subscription. And all of that is thanks to real-time notification. So that's when Google is sending server-to-server notifications to your own server directly, in real time. Very important to consider, if you are going to implement, for example, Google and Huawei, you cannot do it in the same bundle or APK. You need to add, for the Play Store, an APK without Huawei, because Google is checking your dependency and Huawei is not accepted. That's why when you implement in-app purchases, you need to make a setup to take that into account. And what I would suggest is to create one common module where you will have all the basic stuff about subscription, about purchases, but also one module by store. So for example, one for Google, one for Huawei, one for Amazon, and one build type to build your APK or bundle only with the module required for the store you want to put it in. How to do that? So in my common module, I can just create a purchase activity where I will make the purchase. I will connect to the store I want, for example, here, the Google store. And what I want to do is connect to that store, retrieve the product I want to buy, and buy it. To do that, I've created a common interface where I need very, very important methods. First, of course, I need to know if the store is available, because, for example, you may try to connect to Google on a Huawei devices, which is not allowed because Huawei devices does not have Google Play anymore. So you need to make sure it's available. If it's available, you can connect. You can disconnect, of course, to those services. And the very important method are here. First, you need to retrieve the SKU. So when you have an ID of the product you want to buy, I will show that a little bit after, you need to retrieve the actual object to make the purchase. So you need to ask for it and to retrieve the list. Then you want to purchase it. You also want to restore purchases. So restoration is when a user made a purchase, but for some reason your app does not know about it because, for example, he uninstalls the application and installs it again. In that case, you can click on the restoration button, and you're going to call this method to retrieve the purchases from Google. And consume is specific to a consumable product. This is a product that you can buy an unlimited number of times, but to buy it again, you need to consume it. And here, so I have all the tips I handle, consumable, not consumable, etc. And all the methods I want to know about my product. So the price, the currency, if there is a free trial, and other stuff like this. Very important to note, I know that this is available, for example, in my subscription, that there is a free trial in my subscription, but like I said, in my application, I cannot know that the user is eligible to that free trial. Only my API on the backend side will know, but I can still display it to the user. So what do you have to do for Google? For Google, the first thing you need to do is implement their SDK, the Google Play Billing SDK, which was in version 4 until 2 months ago, and they changed to version 5. I will talk a little bit more about it. And once you have implemented it, you just need to do that. You build an APK with it, and you put it to Google Play Console in internal testing, in the release internal channel, so that it will make this page available to you. If you don't do that, you won't be able to create any new subscription or in-app products. And about my Google product, I just created an object to retrieve all the parameters I need from Google. On Google Play Console, so this is what their interface looked like until 2 months ago. It changed a little bit, but the principle is still the same. I've put a price. I can set up if there is a free trial, if there is an introductory price. The price is without taxes, and here I can see the price with taxes for each country, and I can change it for each country. And 2 months ago, at Google I/O, Google announced a new billing system with the Google Play Billing v5, where they changed basically everything. They decided to create some kind of subscription group. So from before, you can only create one subscription that was maybe a monthly or a yearly or weekly subscription. But today, you can create one that can be a monthly and a yearly and a weekly and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have a limitation. And on those plans, you can create offers. So for example, for new customers, you can set an intro price, or you can set another offer for returning customer. And you can set different offers for the yearly. And all of that is very new, and I would not suggest to use it today because nobody has an actual feedback on those functionalities, and you need to change a lot of things regarding the SDK implementation, and your API is not even the same for the backend. So what you can do today is making sure that you are backward compatible with a new interface. So when you're creating a new subscription, you create only one plan, and you make sure that this is displayed backwards compatible, which means that it will work with their API and with the Google Play Billing SDK v4. If it's not here, it won't work. And so you won't be able to make the purchase with the user unless you are using Google Play Billing v5, of course. And this is the product ID you still need to use. So this is the one you need to call to get the SKU, the object, and to make the purchase. So on Google, then what I did is that I created a Google store that implements my store object, and I just created the method I need specific to Google in my Google module. So to make sure it's available, to connect to it, to retrieve the SKU in the correct format, restore, purchase, and everything. For that, I use a billing repository that is provided on a GitHub page by Google. So you can look at it, and because the billing repository is very large, and they have kind of a listener system. So it's kind of complicated to implement it with coroutines, but you can do it with a suspendable coroutine. On Huawei, so on Huawei, it's a little bit easier. You just need to add the dependency and their build script dependency. On their console, you have a product management page where you just put your subscription, what is it, which period is it, and the group it belongs to. So you can create just one group if you want to go easier. And same thing with Huawei, you have an EAP class, so in-app purchases, where you can do all the operations, the same as Google. Basically, they copied Google by making it a little bit simpler, but also a little bit more cumbersome because you need to have an activity to make it work. So if you're using the new navigation system with Jetpack Compose and everything, it can be a little bit difficult. So what I did, for example, I created the next basic Huawei activity that is completely transparent, that will pop in, that the user will never see, but I needed to retrieve the result from Huawei. On Amazon, when you create a subscription, you can set multiple times, saying that it's a weekly subscription, monthly subscription, and everything. But the rest of the parameters is the same. You can set up a free trial and intro price. You have the 3.0.2 SDK comes with Maven now, so it's available as a Gradle parameters, which was not the case before. You needed to download the jar library. And for the rest, it's kind of the same. You just decide. You just call the proper method for Amazon. This one is very simple. And for Amazon, just a little bit of information. You can test with an application called Sandbox App Testing, something like that, on your application, to avoid to have to configure everything on their console. But the thing is that the user flow is not the proper one. It was created something like 5 or 7 years ago, and so you won't be able to see what is exactly going to be displayed to the user. If you want to do that, you can use their live app testing page, where you can put new applications. It's very easy to do, and you can have your tester list, and from that page and from that system, you can have the proper user flow with a test credit card. Yeah, that's it. In conclusion, I would say that Google is still very prominent, and you need to use it. But very soon, and sooner than we think, they're going to have to let other providers on their platform to manage subscriptions and in-app purchases. So I will say that think ahead and do not lock yourself to Google, because very soon you will be able, for example, to use Stripe with your applications to manage subscriptions. And the other thing is that backend for me is mandatory. Without a backend, you will not be able to detect fraud on your application. And I would say that, of course, I work for Purchasely, and to avoid those cumbersome implementation, I would say use services SDKs like Purchasely, or for example, like OneSignal to handle push notification, or like Braze to handle attribution and analytics, so that you can focus on your products and not on all those parameters. And that's it. If you want to talk more, we have a booth in the sponsor zone. And I'll be happy to take any question if you have right now or after at any time during the conference. Thank you.